Wonderful. Thank you everyone for being here. Today is February 10th, 2025. This is the regular meeting of the Philomath City Council. The time is currently 7:01 p.m. We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And if the city recorder could start us out with a roll call.
Jessica Andrade.
Present.
Diane Crocker.
Here.
Spencer Irwin.
Here.
Brent Caseman.
Here.
Richard Salsa.
Present.
Christopher McMorrin.
Here. Okay, and on tonight's agenda, we have a proclamation declaring February Black History Month, followed by public comment, and then a presentation from the Philomath Lions Club. Then we'll have our consent agenda. Under new business, we have some more, and hopefully final for the year, appointments to the Planning Commission and the Budget Committee. And then I'll give some updates on the If I Were Mayor contest, which the city recorder and I have been scheming on. And then we have an ordinance, we have a resolution on the establishment of a formal volunteer program, and then an ordinance draft on council rules, followed by our management report, and then information and correspondence. And I'll again just remind councilors, if you have any updates from your representative and liaison roles, you're welcome to share them under item H. I know it's been 2 weeks since you got those, so I'm not expecting robust reports. But just to say, if you have anything cooking, that's your chance. With that being said, we have a proclamation on Black History Month. Would maybe Councilor Crocker or Councilor Andrade, one of our inclusivity committee members, want to read that proclamation? If not, I'm happy to, but
I'm willing, but she's better. I will.
is that, Councilor Andrade, are you okay with Councilor Crocker reading it? Perfect. We'll go with
City
that.
of Philomath Resolution 2502, Black History Month Proclamation. Whereas we honor Black history by acknowledging past injustices while seeking a more inclusive, equitable, and just path forward. And whereas the first of Oregon's exclusion laws, adopted in 1844, mandated that Black Oregonians would be publicly whipped every 6 months until they departed. And whereas the Oregon Constitution of 1857 prohibited Black Oregonians from owning real estate, making contracts, voting, or using the legal system. And whereas the Federal Donation Land Act of 1850 granted free land in Oregon exclusively to white settlers, creating a white land-owning class that continues to hold great privilege and power in Oregon to this day. And whereas these and other racist laws and policies sent messages that Black Oregonians were not welcome. And whereas this foundation in racist policies continue to have implications for Black people who visit or reside in the state of Oregon. And whereas many Black people have made Oregon and the city of Philomath their home and have made significant contributions to this state and our community, including the donation of lands for Mount Union Cemetery by Mr. Reuben Shipley in 1861. And whereas Black people are valued and vital members of the Philomath community. And whereas the Philomath City Council is committed to creating a community where all who come here can feel safe and welcome. And whereas the Philomath City Council is committed to moving forward towards dismantling, transforming unjust and racist systems where they persist. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we, the City Council and Inclusivity Committee of the City of Philomath, Oregon, hereby proclaim the month of February to be Black History Month in the city of Philomath, and be it further resolved that we affirm that racial discrimination, hatred, and white supremacy have no place in the city of Philomath or our government, and be it further resolved that we call on the people of our community to join us in learning about the history of Black people in Oregon and in Philomath, and in combating racism wherever it is found.
Yes. Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
I make a motion to approve the resolution as read by Counselor Crocker.
Is there a second on that motion?
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved by Counselor Salsa and seconded by Counselor Crocker to approve Resolution 2502, Black History Month Proclamation. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Okay, that looks like it's unanimous, so Resolution 2502 is passed, and it is officially Black History Month in Philomath. Thank you very much. I'll do this before I forget. And then next up, we have public comment. Is there anyone who signed up for public comment? Is there anyone online? Is there anyone here who forgot to sign up and is just dying to speak? Okay, then we'll move on to our consent agenda. Excuse me, first we have a presentation. So we will turn it over to our representative from the Lions Club, Tom Wright. If you want to join us up here at the table, and then the city recorder can help you manage your slides and your presentation there. Thank you very much for being here.
For the opportunity to talk a little bit about the Lions Club. It's going to be short because Chris told me 8 minutes is maximum.
I'm sorry, can you make sure that you speak up
One of the
towards the
reasons
mic
that,
so that we can hear you better?
Came to this.
We can. We're gonna scoot you a little bit closer, Tom, okay?
Okay.
There's the microphone, they're trying to hear.
Yeah.
Keep pushing a little bit further till you're.
Is he dangerous?
He's not
Yeah, nice.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No
Yes,
problem.
sorry about that.
Sorry, thank you.
This presentation kind of came out of a meeting that I had with the mayor and Chris, and I mentioned the fact that if they knew anybody that had moved to town and might want to get involved, that Lions Club would be a place that they could do it. And therefore, he said, would you like to present to the council what we do? So that is basically what I'm going to try and do.
Yeah, they're moving, I think.
Go ahead, hit the down arrow one more time. I think it's connected now.
There we go.
There you go.
Can we move the closed captioning again?
It says there that the Lions Club's motto is "We serve," and that an international organization with well over 1 million members. Main focus is on sighted hearing, and we spend some of our budget on that, and we'll talk about it later. Our motto, though, we added to it, "We serve our community." Every dollar we raise in our fundraisers stay here in Philomath. We don't send any to the international or the state. We believe that we are a local group and we want to make an impact in the local group. That's it. Oh. There. These are some of the things that we support annually to show you that we really look at a broad base, the support. We have supported PYAC at their highest level, which is their Promise Keeper level, for as long as I've been a member of the club, and that's been over 20 years. So that is one of the key groups that we do. Philomath Community Services, both the food bank and the holiday cheer, we provide in that. We meet at the fire station, and we used to meet at one of the churches, and we paid them a stipend to do that. We took that stipend and moved it over to volunteer firemen, which is another not-for-profit group. We have supported Philomath News since it was really first launched, I believe. We've also done things with flower baskets, and in addition to just funding that, many of our members have been out there with the watering wands, the watering baskets. And if you have a young child, you probably have come to the library, and we sponsor Santa there every year. The other area besides community support, we kind of split out school support. And as we did that, we kind of wanted two things, be only supporting athletics. We think there's a lot of cheering for that, and you'll notice that we do through PYAC, we support athletics, but that's the only place we give money. And we wanted to also give it at each level of school. So at the elementary school, coming up later this month, in fact, we have what's called flags for second graders. We present a little convocation for them and about the flag and how to honor our flag and all the rest of that. And they go home with a little flag with a flag stand and a booklet. And we do that every year. Every December, the elementary choir kind of entertains us with their Christmas show, and we then help them out by giving them a donation. Coming up in March, there's Reading Across America, which is a national celebration. It's always on Dr. Seuss's birthday, and later we'll talk about our book sale, but we pull out some of the best books that we have donated to us, and we give every child in the elementary school a free book. And we find for many of those children, that's the only book they have. And we find that is very worthwhile. At the high school, we support the cross-country team. Not that we believe that's a team to be supported, but they come out every year and we move our books out of storage over to where we sell, and they're the ones that move all those heavy boxes. It's amazing. We've got some like 700 to 800 boxes, and they get moved in about 30 minutes with those kids. It's just unbelievable. We also support Fred, which is the robotics team. We do have two $750 a year book scholarships. When we started our book sale, we wanted to look at what could we do with the money that we raised from that, and that's one of the places we picked because it kind of coincides with each other. And then we donate to the senior all-night party. Other thing we've done, the Kugler building, Randy Kugler building, if you've gone in there, you'll notice we're up there on the plaque. We gave about $13,000 in money and time when that building was built. And for a club that has 15 or so members, that's no small task. The city sculpture, if you've noticed that right outside of it, we bought the sculpture from our friend up the street, and the rock, and then the public works people installed everything for it. The grandstand project, I think we were one of the first when the grandstands burned that we gave what we think is a sizable contribution to help launch that fund. If you go by the library every Christmas, you'll notice we have the decorations up, and between us buying it and putting down the low stuff and the fire department coming with their ladder truck and putting the high stuff up, we have that to kind of make that area look better. Then the glasses and hearing aid, that's our major focus. Anybody that can't afford eyeglasses, we will buy them for them. We work with All Family Vision, and between them, we give them glasses. And then through the state Lions, there's hearing aids available. And the last one, which has got to do with glasses, is the KEX for Kids Fund, which I didn't even know about until a couple of 3 years ago. But they buy eyeglasses for any youth that's in their listening area. And that keeps us from having to give money ourselves out of our budget. We donate to them, and they take care of all the young people with eyeglasses. In past history, we've done other things, the Triangle, I think it's Triangle Park out on the internet, I think that's the correct name for it.
Yep.
That was built by the Lions Club long before I was a member. There was a City Hall picnic, or City Park picnic shelter, which is now where the gazebo is. That was also built by Lions Club. And if you go to the Frolic, the one building which has our name on it, that was built by the Lions Club. And so, which we have been in this influence since 1948, so it's been a long time. Now, how did we raise our money? We used to have a lot more fundraisers, but we have now, unfortunately, some of our members have passed on or moved, and we're at a point that we had to cut back, so we now have 4. The big First was fireworks. If you've gone by, sitting in front of True Value Hardware will be our little trailer, and we'll be selling fireworks. We do the community calendar, which every student in school gets it. We sell the ads, and we have and we do all the work in-house laying out the calendar, and the local printer prints them for us. And then the big one is the book sale, which generates better than 50% of what we make every year. That's in July, right after Frolic. Right now, we've got 20-some thousand books in storage. We're already saving for the 2026 sale because we have all we can use for 2025 right now. And so that is a major fundraiser for us, and that's what's able us to do some of the things we do. One thing we try to do is keep a fairly large cash back, so something big like the Frolic grandstand or the Kugler building and stuff, we can come in with a fairly sizable donation rather than a couple $100 type donation. I guess this is what I'm really here for. If you run into someone who is new to the community or maybe is retired and now has more time on their hands and want to get involved, we'd be happy to welcome into our club. We are a couple things about it if you want to. We absolutely refuse to let anybody talk politics in our meetings. That way we don't offend anybody. Secondly is I've been a member now 21 years. I don't see anybody with a hidden agenda, which is a kind of a laid back group. About half of our group is now female, which is very unusual, say 20 years ago. So we have that. The dues, it's not important except the fact that that's the only place that we give to the international, we have no choice. If we're gonna be a Lion, we have to pay those dues, and we set it to the same state and national is paid by the individual members, and everything else we do at fundraisers. If you wanna join or any of those fundraisers, you'd just like to come down and help us, we got a couple of phone numbers up there. We'd be happy to. One of them is our president, which is the 7991, or myself, which is a 5006 number, and we'd be happy to. With that, like over 8 minutes, please.
Wasn't even tracking you.
Yes, Councilor Crawford.
Wow, I'm very, very impressed with all that you do, and thank you very much for doing it. And you do have a smaller organization now,
Yes.
so you're trying to build. And is there a young man, Seth, what's that,
Yeah.
that has joined your group recently?
Yes, he's my next door neighbor.
Yeah, he came and talked to us at Coffee with the
Yeah.
Counselor once and
Yeah.
did a plea for that as well. And so good for you. I knew you did some of it, but I didn't know all of this, so that's great.
Yeah, well, I think I be self-serving maybe, but I think we do it a lot of things in the community that many people don't realize we do because nobody's out there cheering. Maybe that's our problem. We aren't out there cheering. How great we are, but we very quietly try to make a difference in the long run.
Thank you so much. This is excellent to learn about, and thank you for everything you do for the community.
Mayor McMorrin?
Yeah, sorry, Councilor Salsa, I think, has a question for you before
Yeah,
you go.
yes, yeah, thank you. I wanted to just take a moment to also acknowledge Tom specifically. I actually have the honor and privilege of being a member of the Lions Club myself. And it's, we've had conversations this evening about, the city of volunteers in terms of Philomath. And Tom and the rest of the group are the epitome of that level of volunteering. I know we have a lot of organizations out there and a lot of extraordinary volunteers, but there are so many things, as Councilor Crocker pointed out, you have no idea behind the scenes of all the things that are actually managed. We have a fireworks booth in Philomath only because the Lions Club said it shall be. And they're the one that sustained that. We've had other groups come and other groups go, but there's always that consistent place at the parking lot at True Value. And it's actually a big deal because, otherwise it all goes out of town, and it's a very convenient spot for us to be able to celebrate our nation's birthday. And then specifically just for Tom himself, Tom, you know, you you are literally one of those unsung heroes of this community. For all the things that you manage, Tom is the fireworks booth, just so that you're very clear. We just assist him in making sure it happens, but there are so many things that Tom touches and really is the voice of the Lions Club, which is really one of the top reasons that I became active with them, is really Tom. And that doesn't take anything away from everybody else, because there are some really, like I said, extraordinary people in the club. But um, Tom, thank you just for everything that you personally provide, and also in your leadership over the years in steering the Lions Club as being one of the premier volunteering organizations of the city of Philomath.
Did the Samaritan Awards before for the Lions Club?
We, up until the last couple of years, in fact, I didn't even know Samaritas is, I don't know where, they must not be on their mailing list anymore. Cause
It just happened a week ago, yeah.
Yeah, we did not get a mailing asking us to get anybody. And we're down to about 8 people that come every week. And so it's a pretty small group, and things fall through the cracks on us, unfortunately.
You'd be a good nonprofit to recognize if you haven't. I don't know. Yeah. Great job.
Thank you very
A,
much.
a small group with a mighty roar.
Also just want to recognize, you know, you're really doing a good job when the former deputy fire chief is thanking you for selling fireworks. You know, worth taking note of. But thank you very much, Tom, and thank you to the Lions Club for everything you're doing. Thanks for being here tonight. With that, we will now move on to our consent agenda, which tonight just has our minutes from the last 2 meetings. Is there anything folks wanted to pull out of the consent agenda? Okay, I'm not seeing anything. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved. Okay, moved by Councilor Caseman. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Andrade to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on that? I guess there isn't. All those in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
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 Perfect. That passes. We'll now move on to new business, which our first item is appointments to the Planning Commission. As you'll see there, we sort of the opposite of where we have been. We now have 4 applications for 1 position as opposed to 1 application for 4 positions. So, you know, we are spoiled with riches tonight. You have the applications from the 4 who have expressed interest in your packet, explaining their interest, and then tonight we'll need to select 1 person to move ahead with the process. I'll just make a couple observations on here. The first being that Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell previously applied for the tree board, and I asked her if she would be comfortable applying for something else, so we kept Graham on the tree board. So I wanted to highlight that. And then Amanda Pauley, as you know, also previously applied to be on the city council. She also applied for the budget committee tonight. So I think, at least for me, I would be comfortable maybe not appointing her to the planning commission and appointing her to the budget committee, just so that we're not, you know, denying someone else the chance there.
And just, there's, not to look too far in the future.
Yes.
2 positions available for budget committee and 2 applicants.
Yes, yeah, sorry, I should have mentioned that, yeah. So Amanda will probably be on the budget committee, so I think she'd be great on the planning commission as well, but since we have 4 for 1 on the planning commission, we may want to consider someone else. I'm happy to open it up to discussion. I know My preference might just be with Sarah, just since I was the one to encourage her to apply for this, but I also appreciated her experience working in local government, doing a lot of the work that the planning commission does. But I think we have 4 wonderful applicants, so I'm happy to go with whatever direction the council feels is best. Is there any discussion on that?
I am feeling, like I would like to go with Christine Henderson. Her ties to the Philomath area are short but strong. And she's a professional architecture, which I think is a good background for something like this.
Came to the meeting open, but that was also the name that I had in mind.
Any other input from counselors? Councilor Andrade?
You said Sarah was the person that you had encouraged to apply.
Yes, who previously applied for the tree board.
Okay. I would be interested in supporting Sarah.
Okay. Well, would anyone? I feel like it's just whoever makes a motion
We
first.
can do a vote or we can do a
do a-
motion, so
yeah.
however you'd like to do it. If we vote, I'd recommend just 1, 2, 3, see if we can get somebody that gets a majority. If not, then maybe we can rule out whoever gets the no votes or least amount of votes and do a second round of voting. Excuse me. We didn't do paper ballots. In a recent training we went to, we've actually updated some of the recommendations, and the Ethics Commission is now strongly recommending not even doing a written, those types of things that go undisclosed. Even if you do the written ballot, you just read off the name, and so you kind of just take an extra step and writing it down as opposed to just going for it anyway. And so, as far as our kind of best practices that we've been doing, we're going to kind of steer away from the written ballots for these types of appointments going forward. So,
Yeah, Councilor Caseman.
I move the city council appoint Christine J. Henderson to serve a 4-year term on the Philomath Planning Commission with the term expiring on December 31st, 2028.
One second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded by Councilor Caseman and Councilor Crocker to appoint Christine J. Henderson to the Planning Commission. I think I would maybe prefer to do more of a ballot type thing, but this is the motion on the floor, so is there other discussion on that motion? I'm seeing a nod from people on the screen, but I'm not sure what that means. Councilor Andrade?
I'd also prefer ballot. I think it's more, what's the word? It's more democratic to have the majority of the council choose what, yeah.
Okay. And then
Well,
Councilor Sullivan?
Sorry,
Because
we actually,
the results become public, so it's not like
Yeah,
no
yeah,
one's
yeah.
gonna know.
yeah, we do actually have a motion and a second though already on the floor. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just discussing my thoughts on the motion, which are that
Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
like it. But it is on the floor. Is there further discussion on that motion?
if there's a strong desire to do the vote, then the council would vote no
Right.
on this motion. Not that she wouldn't be appointed, but that she wouldn't be appointed by way of motion. Then you could have a further discussion about a vote if that's the way you want to go. Or Councilor Caseman, who made the motion, could rescind the motion if you, after hearing from the rest of the council, if you were in agreement to do a ballot, then you could withdraw your motion as well. So just a couple different roads we can go down at this point.
But you don't have to.
So I can do that.
You can if
Okay.
you want.
So can I ask the other councilors, would they prefer the ballots?
I think I would prefer a ballot
Okay.
or
That's fine.
some sort of up or down vote.
And you second it? Okay, I will rescind the motion.
Okay. So then I'll move that we, do I need to move that we vote vote by ballot, or can we just do that? And so then we're doing it like a verbal ballot? Is that what you're saying? I learn something new every day. Okay, so then I'll maybe have the city recorder call the roll, and when you're called, if you can just list maybe your top three in order. Is
The top two.
top two in order? And then city recorder, are you in a position where you're able to tally that? Would you like me to? Okay, we're gonna talk amongst ourselves.
We can
Write
tally.
it.
Okay.
So,
Let's see.
go ahead and just call everybody on the roll call and we'll tally it. Oh, everybody will vote for two, kind of their top two. I don't need to know that we necessarily rank one or two, we'll just vote for your top two at this point. And then the two applicants with the least amount of votes will be taken out of consideration, and we'll do a second round of voting, between the top first round. Keep that fairly simple. Unless the voting goes haywire, and then we'll, how we want to proceed.
I also just want to say before we start that I think all four of our applicants should be honored that we are having such a difficult time this choosing. You are all wonderful, and we're very grateful for your interest. With that, sure. So the four applicants are Christine J. Henderson, Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell. There's a lot of J's. Amanda Polly, and then Theodore Vieja. I hope I pronounced everything right. Wonderful. Shall we go ahead and call the roll then?
Jessica Andrade,
Did you see, sorry, I had messaged Sarah and Theodore.
Sarah and Theodore, okay.
Diane Crocker,
Christine and Sarah?
Spencer Irwin,
Sarah and Christine.
Brent Caseman,
Christine and Sarah.
Richard Salsa,
Sorry, Sarah and Christine.
Christopher McMorrin.
I'll do Sarah and Theodore. It looks like we have 4 number 1 votes for Sarah, and 2 number 1 votes for Christine. So that is a majority of number 1 votes for Sarah. But
Well, I give different directions, sorry.
Okay,
I
sorry.
forgot to order them, but just.
sorry. Okay. So then we're not.
So I've got Christine and Sarah is getting them.
Yes,
vote.
sure.
And so we'll remove Amanda and Theodore from consideration, and now if each council member could vote for either Christine or Sarah, and that way they'll have a majority.
That works for me. Apologies for the confusion on my end.
Okay, we're rolling with it.
Okay, then if the city recorder could call the roll one more time, and now this time just between Sarah and Christine, state your preference.
Jessica Andrade,
Sarah?
Diane Crocker,
Christine?
Spencer Irwin,
Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell.
Brent Caseman,
Christine.
Richard Salsa,
Sarah Mitchell.
Do Sarah Mitchell. We have 4 votes for Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell and 2 votes for Christine J. Henderson. Should we make a motion then to formally appoint her? Okay. Then I'll move that we appoint Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell to serve a 4-year term on the Philomath Planning Commission with the term expiring on December 31st, 2028. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Caseman, moved by Mayor McMorrin, to appoint Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell to Planning Commission. Is there any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
And the motion sleeve. So So Sarah J. Coulter Mitchell is appointed to the commission, and a huge thank you to all four of our applicants. I hope you will continue to stay engaged and apply for future appointment opportunities. To reiterate the fact that we had little to no applicants up until right this moment, so if you're able to get it in just a few weeks earlier next time, you have a decent chance of getting in there. But we really appreciate anytime anyone is interested in volunteering and helping with the city. So thank you so much for your interest and your passion for Philomath, and we will be sure to get you involved in the future. Councilor Andrade?
And as a reminder, everyone is welcome at the Inclusivity Committee, even if
Yes.
you're not an official member, so please
Yes.
come.
Thank you. And with that, we'll move on to what I hope will be an easier process, which is our appointments to the Budget Committee. Again, as a refresher, this is, I think, the second or third time we've had this up before us. This time, hopefully, will be our last one for the rest of the year. We have 2 more seats available, and we received 2 applications, one from Amanda Pauley and one from John T. Simonson. Same situation, you have their applications in your packet, but I hope that we will be able to move forward on this. And just as a refresher, these are 2 our counselors who were coming off. So one of the appointments only goes through the end of this year, and one goes through the end of next year. They're sort of abridged appointments since we're replacing some people who came off midterm. So just to say, for anyone watching or listening, there will be at least one, probably more, opportunities to be on the Budget Committee at the end of the year.
Who's here with us this evening? Thanks for
Yeah.
coming, Tom.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Thanks for sitting through our whole work session.
Yeah.
With that said, is there any discussion or a motion?
I move the city council appoint Amanda Pauley and John T. Simonson to a 2-year term on the Philomath Budget Committee.
Sorry, let me interrupt. One's a 2-year term, one's
Yep.
a 1-year term.
Oh, I got you. Okay, so do we,
You're making the motion.
is it a 50-50? Should we flip a coin or?
Coin. Ask John's here.
John, do you want to do 2 years or 1? Okay. And with more coming open, I don't think it matters a ton anyway, right? But, okay, so I move the city council appoint John T. Simonson to a 2-year term on the Philomath Budget Committee, expiring on December 31st, 2026, and Amanda Pauley to a 1-year term expiring on December 31st, 2025.
Thank you very much. Is there a second on that motion?
I second the motion.
Moved by Councilor Irwin and seconded by Councilor Salsa to appoint Amanda Pauley and John Simonson to the Budget Committee. Any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
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 Okay, I believe that was unanimous. So Amanda Pauley and John Simonson are appointed to the Budget Committee for their respective term. Thank you both for your service, and we'll look forward to seeing more of you.
Yeah.
And next up on our agenda, we have a quick update and discussion on the If I Were Mayor contest, and then we have a couple things to decide on down at the end here. But as just a refresher, this is an annual statewide contest run through the Oregon Mayors Association that then individual mayors and their respective cities can sort of participate in for their community. The idea is that 4th through 12th graders in the community can submit a project to sort of say what they would do if they were mayor of Philomath. And it's broader than that of, what they would want for the town, because as I think any current or former mayor will tell you, you don't have nearly as much authority to actually do things as people think you do. But as it talks about there, it's broken into 3 groupings. So for elementary age kids, their project is to make a poster sort of showing what they would do if they were mayor. For middle school kids, their project is to make an essay, to write an essay, sort of talking about what they would do if they were mayor. And then for our high school students, I think this might be new this year. I don't know, but it's okay. Is a digital media presentation or a video, kind of demonstrating what they would do if they were mayor of Philomath. And then after, so the contest goes through April, I believe. Is that right? Yes.
To
Thank
April
you.
11th.
Yes. And then once we receive the presentations, we'll decide some winners for our community level, and then they'll receive special recognition in Philomath, and then they'll also be eligible to receive the statewide If I Were Mayor awards. So what we need from us all tonight is it would be great to have a couple of counselors help me review the submissions. I see Counselor Salsa and Counselor Crocker raising their hands. We're going to wait 1 second before we make anything official, but noted. So that it's not just me deciding. And then additionally, we'd like to give some special recognition. So we're asking the council to approve up to $300 for us to have a special day and give some prizes to the kids who are selected for the If I Were Mayor contest, which I just want the record to show is more compensation than the real mayor gets. But good for them. Yes, and then I think we're still hammering out some of the details for our city-specific celebration, but the city recorder and I have been putting our heads together and are scheming up a pretty special, I think, lunchtime event for the students who are selected. They'll get to have a proclamation signed and come have their own city council meeting and maybe even get a special escort. A special escort. We'll leave it at that for now. You know, something to impress everyone at school. But with that being said, I love this. I wish that we were more engaged in this when I was in school. I would have died for this, as my former teachers know. And I've been really impressed in the past with some of the ideas we've gotten from the students from the If I Were Mayor contest. I know some of them where I was like, oh, we should actually like put that in the strategic plan. They've had ideas about like land use and commerce and jobs, and it's been very insightful. So I'm really excited about this. But I'm going to stop talking. If there's any questions about the contest, I think we're happy to answer those. Okay. I saw Counselor Crocker and Counselor Salsa express interest in helping me review applications. Was there anyone else who's really chomping at the bit? I think the one thing I'll say is just hypothetically, if you have a child who's interested in applying, maybe don't help me review the applications. But yes. But
And you'll notice I didn't raise my hand.
I appreciate that, yeah. But I don't want to just, I'm Counselor Irwin or Andrade. Was there any interest? Are you okay with
I'm
that one?
happy to help if you wanted me to, but I don't feel
Okay.
like if it's best done by 3 of you, that's fine too.
Sure. Then I think we'll go ahead and, as long as everyone's fine with it, we'll appoint Counselor Crocker and Counselor Salsa to the review committee with me, which I think is one of the best committees that the city has. And then is there consensus from the council that we can spend up to $300 from the community's event support account to support the winners of the contest?
Should we make a motion? There's one, right?
There is,
I would go, we do motion or consensus. It's already in the budget. It's just a matter of acknowledgement from the council. It's where the funds are coming from.
I'm happy to entertain a motion.
I move to appoint Counselor Crocker and Counselor Salsa to assist Mayor McMorrin with scoring If I Were Mayor contest entries and authorize up to $300 from the City Council Community Support Account for prizes.
I'll second that motion. Is there any discussion on the motion? All right, then. Favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful, that looks unanimous to me. And then I'm glad the school superintendent is here because obviously I'll need some help with this. So I'll follow up with you. Wonderful, any other thoughts on that before we move on? All right, next up on the agenda, we have I believe, ordinance draft or a resolution. Excuse me. About our sort of formalized volunteer program, which is something we've been talking about for a while, and this comes to us from our assistant city manager.
Yes, I first want to recognize that one of our excellent volunteers, Larry Sleeman, our park board chair, is here in support of this volunteer program. The park board has talked a lot about formalizing something, making more opportunities for people in parks specific and around the community available so that they can volunteer. And I think we have some new members, but we've discussed this kind of in and out with council on several occasions, so it shouldn't be surprising to some of you at least have it come forward. So what this document is in order for us to get to establish a volunteer program that meets our risk managers and insurers guidance and just specific insurance requirements, we need to do several things. One is to adopt some policies, which you will see there's a volunteer handbook in here that we're adopting as part of the resolution, has policies in it. This document is from CIS. We've made it Willamette friendly, but it has been reviewed. This draft has been reviewed by CIS and our insurers, WHA. The second part of it is how to provide insurance coverage. So there is a high risk and liability to allow volunteers and not have some sort of option for how you're insuring them. So again, CIS, I've worked with them quite a bit actually over the last year and a half. They were glad to hear that we were moving forward because I've talked to them quite a bit about this. So they had a couple things to say. There's options. You can cover everyone under workers' comp. The cons to using that for a small city are that you have to track everyone's time, like timesheets, essentially, what they're doing. It's just a lot more intensive for staff and for smaller cities that just could make it really difficult for us to be able to offer more opportunities for volunteers. And their recommendation is to go with an medical accident type policy. It's low cost. It's, I think, I put it in here, $300 a year, which covers up to 100 volunteers, which if we end up having more than 100 volunteers in a year, great, and we will look at how to expand that at that time. But this is what they recommend. It provides us some coverage, lowers our risk and liability, but doesn't require us to track everyone as extensively. This is one step to the program. After this, we need to do some additional things, little basic job descriptions. We have to have applications. It's very similar to having an employee. Volunteers in today's world for the public sector are like, it's essentially like hiring an employee. So it's quite a bit of work, but we want to be able to offer people these opportunities. We do still currently have opportunities. Brent's company, Citizens Bank, did come and do a cleanup, and they had liability coverage that they provided for their employees. Those are great. We can do those currently. But the person who wants to say, I want to get 3 of my friends together and pull Ivy, we can't do that currently. So those are, unless they have some kind of insurance liability coverage from an employer or organization. So I provided this resolution and the handbook, and I just open up to questions from the council.
And we have two I'm sorry.
Councilor Crawford.
Then we have two levels of coverage, meaning for the, police officers that are on reserve, and then for the basic dickweed volunteer.
Yes, sorry, I didn't explain that. So we do have two, I did put two levels in here. Public safety volunteers, CIS and WHA recommend that they're covered under workers' comp. So the city council is not currently, does not have a coverage, but they do recommend that city councils have coverage just because you are at a lot of meetings and you do community events. So that would be workers' comp, and then our police reserves, police administrative reserves, those would also be workers' comp. They are currently under workers' comp, our police reserves, volunteers. So nothing's changing for them, it's just being formalized, but city council would be added to that. So you would all have a little bit of tracking, but we have some ways to make that a little bit less labor intensive for you all.
Yes.
Counselor Andrade?
So she mentions that the third paragraph on page 39 of the packet needs to be grammatically corrected.
I was gonna say, there's several scribbled errors.
Yeah.
And we just trust that. I know, I feel like I took this from the city recorder and she's already made notes on a lot of these.
We can go back through it for
Okay.
years, yes.
To do those before the meeting or after the meeting. I read that in here.
Yes. Thank you. If you're all comfortable with that, we can go through and just do that. This was a template, and now at the beginning of the meeting, when Diane approached, I realized, there were gonna be templates sometimes, and the templates aren't always perfect. And neither is find and replace.
And she also mentioned the pronouns, if they could be gender neutral. Along with that. There's a
Yes,
he, she on page 46.
yeah, generally we do that, but again, that one was probably missed in the find and replace.
I'll just say, I love it. I thank you for all the work you've been putting into it. I feel like it's, it makes me go crazy sometimes when people are like, hey, like, I really want to help clean up the park. Can I do that? And I'm like, no, you can't. Like, it just, I feel like it goes against the whole spirit of Philomath. So I'm glad we now have a way to direct them, or we will have a way to direct folks who are passionate about giving their time. Also love the design of the handbook. Counselor Crocker?
I would, move that we pick the provide medical accident policy with waiver liability for our regular volunteers. And then we'll add that the council will be covered. Not the whatever it was. Because that's important. If we are out driving someone's or going to say and stuff like that, it's good to have that.
So then I'll move that we approve resolution 2503, establishing a volunteer program and adopting the City of Philomath volunteer handbook and policies. Is there a second on that?
Sure, second.
Nope. I think I heard Counselor Irwin first, so it's moved by Mayor McMorrin and seconded by Counselor Irwin to approve resolution 2503 and associated documents. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Yes.
Oh,
I admire all the work that went into this. It is too complicated and too cumbersome for the average volunteer. I just want a volunteer to help clean up the garbage. Can we have a summary with if you want more notification, they can get the whole packet, but I think this whole packet's gonna scare people off. It's how many pages? I don't know, it's lots. And I realize for legal reasons, you would prefer to do this, but I just think it's.
I think it's like the terms and conditions
Easy.
on it. But sorry, Counselor.
No, for legal reasons, I think you almost have to. Maybe perhaps there could be a summary, but I think you have to have this.
Yeah. Counselor Salsa?
Yeah, I just want to, I understand, Counselor Crocker's, statement on this and having the volunteer organization at the fire department, we had to go through something very similar because the fact of the matter is you have to have this established to even start talking about any level of insurance or liability or anything like that. And the fact of the matter is, we haven't had any issues with any volunteers at the fire department since adopting something very similar to this, that the handbook, the one thing about it is it just makes things very clear. And yes, there's a lot to go over, but there was for us too. We're volunteers, and there was a pretty gigantic amount of stuff that we had to consume. Even after the fact that we got appointed, they said, "Oh, by the way, here's all the things you just agreed to." Um, so anyway, but the point is, uh, I agree that it is a bit cumbersome, but I think people that really want to volunteer, honestly, nothing's going to stop them. And this is not going to be one of those things.
Mr. Crocker?
So this means, for example, let me just clarify, our Veterans Day is, what it was called, the event that we had, we would have to get this signed by every Boy Scout and every person that spoke and everybody that volunteered for that event?
Not necessarily. So if the Boy Scouts they're usually covering their own people. It's if you're a city volunteer. So if you were coming forward to help us run an event, do something at an event, you may, yes, have to do this. We may have a consolidated process. But the fact is that if someone gets injured, it doesn't matter if they just came to volunteer an event or if they're volunteers. Our reserves are an example. You know, they are here and they've been here for years. And so there are different kinds of volunteers. But you know, the fact is if someone does get injured, they're going to come straight to us and ask us what policies we have, what did they sign. I mean, this is just the unfortunate part. And we could just not do this, but then the risk of that is that, you know.
I understand, it's just seems.
I know what you're saying, absolutely.
Right event, there's, I don't know, 20 volunteers, they would all have to sign this, correct?
That's not a city
Yeah.
event, though.
I thought it was.
Well, it's been in a gray area.
Supported by the city, but it's not a city event. We don't.
It'll likely be hosted by a nonprofit this year, so. Counselor Case.
I think in real life, perhaps it's not going to be so cumbersome. I assume on our website, there'll be an application, there'll be a link to this acknowledging that you agree and you would sign.
Yes.
Perhaps. So
That does sound better.
Yes, I won't be saying, let's send it over everything.
yeah, I don't think we're off,
Yes.
Article 5.7.
You acknowledge that you've read it, whether.
Yeah. And, I mean, I just keep this a little cumbersome and annoying. Yeah, it's a whole lot better than just being like a flat out, no, we don't want your help and we can't take your help, which we do right now. So I'm happy, but I hear your concerns.
And we will have some different levels. This is part of, we start here, then we have to build our program and look at levels. Because a person who's going to say, I want to sign up to be a volunteer, I'm going to clean up the park every month. This really fits them. They are coming every month. They have a job. They have a little description of what they're doing, which is different than a person who says, I want to volunteer for 2 hours to help Chris,
Trunk or treat.
a trunk or treat or the parade. So we will be looking at it. This just helps us look at how to provide those opportunities.
One question I had was, I know, and I hope I don't misspeak, the school district, like once you're a volunteer in the system, you can they can plug you into different things. Will this be the same way, where it'll be like, oh no, you only got the waiver for a trunk or treat, so you can't also clean up a park, or is it, you're kind of?
No, I think they'll be,
Okay,
that's our
okay.
intent, is to allow people to.
Okay.
How long does it last then? Is it for each year they have to?
I don't know that we have, a caveat on that so much, because they're not, it's not, they're not a temporary employee, they're just a volunteer. I think we can keep them long term. If we have updates, they maybe have to sign it, just like an employee would, but, yeah.
Okay. Well, there is a motion on the table. Is there any further discussion on that motion?
I have to vote.
You can vote no if you want.
Times have changed. I get that.
Yes, I know. I will say, I think it's always impressive to me how much of our time is spent keeping the lawyers and the insurance agents happy. But here we are. Would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye?
Aye.
Aye. Did you?
No.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Okay,
Moving,
yes.
Yeah.
I think that was unanimous, if I caught the folks on screen correctly, so, we will consider resolution 2503, adopted. And we thank Chelsea for all the work she put into this.
That's right.
I know it's a lift. Next up, let's flip through all of these. We have a draft of we have an ordinance, which is sort of implementing some of the, discussion that we had at the previous meeting on council rules. So, take a look at that and, see what your thoughts are. I guess, the city manager was the one that incorporated these. We were hoping to touch base on it, but, you know, schedules did their thing and we have not. So just to say, if you're wondering why something is worded the way it is, I can't answer that question, but,
My fault.
but the city manager would be happy to answer that question.
Yeah, going back through the minutes, the direction from the last meeting was to bring you an ordinance with these council rules and the changes that have been incorporated or discussed. So took my best shot at that. There were a few specific areas where there was either some consensus or throw your hands up in the air, we're not sure what to do with it. And so I took my best stab at it. We can still make a specific amendments to this ordinance tonight and still consider it, but went ahead and got it in front of you in ordinance form so that you can vote on it tonight if there's agreement with as it is or with any specific changes. So we can talk about any specific change that you'd like made, or you can deliberate, or when you're done deliberating, then it'll be a roll call vote for the approval rather than motion. So I'm happy to answer any specific questions that came out, or if you want to deliberate on, I thought we were gonna do this and it says this instead, or whatever, but otherwise, be consistent. I will speak specifically about the time limit issue. On mine, it's page 63. We're in line 6 or so.
No changes were made.
We'd recognize, we've looked at maybe implement language to give a little more flexibility, and we just remove that whole section. Time limit's 3 minutes. If the mayor wants to use discretion, then the mayor can use discretion. The council don't like it, then they won't. We're just gonna not put that in the rules. The rule is 3 minutes, and we'll keep it very simple. So, didn't see a real clear path forward on any changes there, so we just won't make any. Is what it is. Other than that, I think all of the notes I had were pretty straightforward and pretty clear, so this should be very familiar to you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Councilor Andrade?
She noted,
Oh, thank you.
Scrivener's correction. Page
Okay.
52, line 31. The packet, please delete times so that the line in B, in emergency situations or when a timely decision is warranted. And then on page 64, line 42, she mentioned the public comment as the public comment information is no longer found in this, but rather, what is that? 10.012 agenda management, section C.
That's fair. Do we need a motion then, since this is an ordinance?
We should do motions to make those
Okay.
two changes.
Okay. Councilor Andrade, are you able to make a motion, or would you like me to? Was that a me?
That was me.
Okay, all right. I move that we amend page 62, line 31 to delete the word times so that the line reads B, in emergency situations or when a timely decision is warranted. And then on page 64, line 42, to remove the words public comment, because they are included in a separate section. On that motion, so wow, seconded by Councilor Andrade. Is there any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, would all those in favor please raise your hand and say aye? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion passes to amend the ordinance. Are there any other amendments to the ordinance? Seeing any, do we have a motion to approve it as amended? Or do we need, or do we
No,
not have
we'll
a
just
motion?
read the,
Okay, never mind.
if you wanna read the.
I'm still learning, folks.
If you wanna just read the title.
Yeah.
And then we can take a first vote. As a reminder, if the first vote's unanimous, then we'll read the title a second time, and it'll be passed and effective 30 days from now. If the vote's not unanimous, we'll bring it back at its next meeting and we'll go on for a second reading and a second vote.
Yep. As a refresher, this is going in the municipal code. So it's not just the idea is it's a little more solid. And when it says like in the city charter that the presiding officer shall enforce the rules of the council or whatever, these are the rules that then the presiding officer enforces. So we can always change them, but it is a little more of a formal, arduous process to change them, which is kind of the point, is they're supposed to be carry a little more weight than just more sort of informal council processes. So with that, City of Philomath Ordinance 891, an ordinance amending Philomath Municipal Code Chapter 2.10, Council Rules. Is there a roll call vote, City Recorder?
All right, here we go. Jessica Andrade,
That looks like a yes.
Diane Crocker.
Yes.
Spencer Irwin,
Yes.
Frank Baseman,
Yes.
Richard Salsa,
Yes.
Christopher McMorrin.
Yes. Okay, so then I'll read the title again.
Yep.
City of Philomath Ordinance 891, an ordinance amending Philomath Municipal Code, Chapter 2.10, Council Rules, which has been passed by the council on February 2025 and will be signed by the mayor on February 2020, or 10th day of February 2025. I said that wrong. And so that'll go into effect 30 days from tonight. Thank you very much.
Been busy. Couple things in there. As highlighted again, I'll leave some time for questions, but met again with the website developer. Chelsea and I did today. Good meeting. They're making progress. I wouldn't say they're behind. They weren't as far ahead as they were hoping they would be on getting everything laid out.
That was very, very diplomatic.
Yeah, it was diplomatic.
I'm going to use that with my boss.
Not as far along as they would hope. So they're working through it. It's exciting. It's looking good. We're almost to the next phase where we're developing out the menus and it, but design wise and look wise, it's coming along. It looks awesome. It's actually going to look very similar to like your packet, and the whole new branding campaign is alive and well within the new website. So that's exciting. We are going to get, it sounds like at least a couple of weeks so we can toy around with it a little bit before it goes public. And so that's exciting. The most exciting part, and Chelsea has got a little more insight than I do, this new website using Civic Plus, they've branched out their platform so that the website's able to do more things like automatically send newsletters, or people can sign up to receive notices about things that the planning commission is looking at, and then anytime anything gets updated there, it'll automatically send those emails. So some more automation, some more public engagement that'll make it easier for the public to sign up for notices, newsletters, alerts, those types of things. And then there's a whole slew of forms and being able to apply online and do the fillable format and those that we're currently doing. That's a little bit more friendly on the backside. So anyway, we're just really looking forward to seeing all of the different ways that the new website's gonna allow us to engage with the community more, better, which is exciting. The library expansion project, we did get the bids in on those, you see the numbers. Meeting with the library director and our consultant later this week to talk about what those numbers mean and start talking about next steps. There wasn't a big difference between the two different options that they were looking at. I'm always shocked, I'll be honest, when these numbers come in. I think of what it costs to build a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home, and then I look at what it costs to add a room onto a library, and it just blows me away every time. But they're well documented what those budget numbers go towards, and so who am I to argue against them, right? Expensive project, but good to have some numbers and have a goal and target for next path forward. So we'll come back to you more there with a couple of strategies. It is going through, do want to give a nod to Councilor McMorrin, Councilor Andrade, and Councilor Crocker for attending League of Oregon Cities. Mayor McMorrin. I read Councilor, never remember the name, sorry. Council members.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a great event. Nice to be able to meet with our representatives. Appreciate them taking the time to hear us out. Feel like we had a very on-point message. And I think more important, arguably, than just the funding, it's great to have good relationships with our representatives and feel like they know where Philomath is on the map. They know what our concerns are. They know what our struggles are. And I do believe that they have our best interests at heart when they are going to work every single day, working on our behalf. So I've got some, again, great meeting there and just good rapport there as we've seen. So, and the money would be nice as well in some of our big projects that we're asking for. But we'll see. Never any promises there. We just ask. The admin side, that was it. Human resources, read the notes. I feel like I'm getting a little bit long-winded, so and I don't have a page 2. So, Public Works has been busy. Water treatment plant, we're just finishing up the contract for the filtration system. There's some warranty language that we're going back and forth on with our attorney and their attorney to make sure that we're protected in the case of any problem with filtration guts themselves. And hope to wrap that up by the end of this week. And then we should be in good position to go out for the full RFP. I keep thinking it's going to be a month, but I've said that a few months now. So within the next couple of months, I'll say, we'll have that final design done, everything in a spot where we're ready to go out for bid for construction of the treatment plant. The reservoir has water in it. No swimming signs, but it is full of water. They're doing testing, but it's holding up, so that's exciting. And the street project on 19th Street is busy. I appreciate Superintendent Halliday, who's in the audience today and coordinating so well and reaching out to Public Works and to the contractor to make sure that she's messaging that information to the families. I think it's really appreciated as a family in Philomath. It's really nice to keep tabs on where that project is at. But I think Mid-Valley Gravel always does a great job of getting information out and trying to be responsive. I know they've gone out of their way to not be working during pickup and drop off. They're kind of working in those hours in between pickup drop off as much as they can. There's always impacts, but again, I think we've got a great contract on board that's trying to minimize those impacts as much as possible. And the school district's been great to work with on that. It's gotten very bumpy, so traffic speeds have decreased on 19th substantially. And they'll be looking to repave this summer. And yeah, I think we are on schedule with that project right now. Awesome. So, any questions on anything else in the packet? Like I said, I'm a little disadvantaged. I don't have a page 2, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Seeing any questions?
Great.
Then this is also the time for reports from the counselors. Does anyone I have something, but I can go last, Counselor
Of course
Crocker.
I do. I got to go to the 4-hour workshop for the PCS board, and I was very impressed with the people they have volunteering, and the board is incredible. So I am excited about the direction.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Any other council reports? Okay. Oh,
Okay.
sorry. Oh, I didn't see that. Oh, boy. City Recorder, would you be able to narrate, perhaps?
Yeah. The Benton County Hope Advisory and Executive Board are in the middle of restructuring, so we will be meeting with staff to propose structure within the next month. She's also saying join the Inclusivity Committee in honoring Black History Month at the Philomath Museum this Wednesday, February 12th at 6 p.m. Zachary Stocks, the Executive Director of Oregon Black Pioneers, will be the keynote speaker. And a huge thank you to Oregon Black Pioneers, NAACP Lynn Benton Branch, Benton County Historical Society, and Benton County, Oregon.
Thank you. Well said, Jessica Crystal. The teamwork makes the dream work. But yes, I hope to see everyone there on Wednesday. From my end, the COG has not met yet, or at least they've not invited me to a meeting. But I'm planning to join the school board next Thursday to say hi and talk a little bit about the city. And it's this Thursday, perfect, and I knew that. Isn't it usually the 3rd? No. Okay. See, times have changed. All right. Well, I plan to join the school board, and just attended the fire board meeting earlier today. They're moving along with lots of different things. They still have concerns about hydrants, so I'll talk with you about that more a little later. And then I also wanted to give an update that per our legislative agenda, I did testify in support of House Bill 3431, I think it was, which is Representative Gomberg's bill on public notices in digital news publications. That had a public hearing last Thursday, which I think went relatively well. Believe it or not, the Newspapers Association doesn't like it. I know, I'm shocked. So we're kind of working through the next steps on that, seeing if we can make a few little tweaks and then moving forward. I have not heard any update. There's a Senate bill that Senator Anderson introduced, which I think is the same text. I have not heard if that's gotten a public hearing yet. So I'm a little more encouraged by the progress the House bill is making, but I just wanted to share that we're moving forward on that. And then I also wanted to do like a quick temperature check because Senator Anderson also has a bill which right now is about widening Highway 20 between Corvallis and Philomath to address traffic concerns. He has asked if the city would support that bill and or the mayor on behalf of the city. My response, and I want to make sure this is in line with the council, is I asked if we could change the bill to, instead of being just widening it, to being a look at how to improve the traffic flow on that stretch of the highway. So that doesn't just mean widening, it could also mean improving the intersection, it could mean adding a slip lane, it could mean any sort of improvement to that stretch that hopefully would avoid tearing up people's front yards along the way. But so I asked if they would be willing to amend the bill to that, in which case I thought we would probably be relatively supportive, but I wanted to gauge that with the council, and I apologize for not giving more heads up. The hearing is tomorrow, so surprise. And they asked me about it like on Friday. So yes, Councilor Crocker.
We had some people come to talk to us about turn lanes at 24th and 26th. And I think that would be a nice addition to that. I am in support of the widening, which might allow that, which would help with the traffic flow. Because when people are stopped to make a turn and nobody can go, what backs up? If we can get those turn lanes in there, especially at those two places, I think it would help.
Thank you very much. Any other, yeah, Councilor Irwin?
I think it's prudent, and
Okay.
I would encourage you to.
Okay.
I need to say historically, there's been many studies on that highway and many recent efforts to increase bus transportation, which the city of Philomath has done, city of Corvallis have done. Increase bike ped, which bike ped path is in there. That's not new, but it's there. I don't, in the studies that I've read in the time that I've been doing this, I don't know how you can improve the flow without widening. So I think, but I understand it's not just widen it and it's all better. I think that it's widen and do the other things. I wouldn't say that I would supplement widening or replace. You know, don't widen it, just make it the traffic flow. I'd say widening and increasing flow. But I think widening has to be a part of that conversation. When you look at the intersections, you look at the routes, even with turnouts at every angle, you're essentially widening along that path. So I would look at widening the Highway 20 and other projects that would on there. But
I think, and the amendment language has not actually been written yet, again, in classic legislative fashion. From my conversation, I think the hope was to just not say any specific, to just be like ODOT will develop a plan to improve traffic, throughput on the.
so most recently, ODOT strategy has been add more bike ped, add more transit. So again, I think if we want to see more efforts for transit and more bike ped, then that's what we'll continue to get from ODOT. I think the point of the bill is we need to also provide for more vehicles to be able to make that route, because more vehicles are making that route.
Well, I've explained what the amendment will be.
Yeah.
Yes, Councilor Crocker.
I found it interesting. I was up at like 5 a.m, going east, and there was a huge, long traffic line of people going west. And I decided that I thought it was probably the bus drivers to the Corvallis bus barn, or whatever you want to call it, west of our town. And they're going through our town in the morning and back out in the afternoon. And it's added a great deal of traffic. I don't know that we can encourage them to use the back way along by the fairgrounds and go that way instead of through the intersection that is so busy. If we have any power to do that, and I doubt that we do, it would certainly help ease up some of the traffic.
Absolutely. I think, again, this specific bill is more just instructing ODOT to develop a solution to the road. So not any sort of specific, like, redirect traffic, do this lane, it's sort of, and I've not talked to ODOT directly about it, but what Senator Anderson's office told me is that they have talked with ODOT directly about it, and I think I know Campo has worked on it. Apparently ODOT does not have their own like feasibility study, so I think they're happy to do that for this stretch of highway, which would be a step. Yeah, Councilor Andrade?
She's very supportive of the amendment. If they don't amend the bill, then she doesn't feel comfortable supporting it.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to make sure people are okay with me saying that the city is supportive of the general concept, and I'll keep my wording somewhat vague. I also want to clarify, like, I think we're kind of pushing the digital news publication bill. I don't really envision us pushing this one, but I was specifically requested to testify in support of it on behalf of the city. So that's why I'm bringing this forward, not because I think we need to make it our biggest priority, but if we're asking them to support things for our community. I think we should try to be good partners and support things they're working on for our community too. So, does that work sort of with the general consensus? I go ahead and do that? Okay, perfect. Then I don't think I have any other reports. Anything else from the council? Okay, you have your information and correspondence in the packet. If there's no other discussion, we will adjourn the meeting at 8:26 p.m. and hope to see everyone for Black History Month on Wednesday.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.